Okay, I don't know how to start this. Um, but it's been on my mind to do it. And so I'm going to do it. And whatever comes of it, comes of it. And that's that. At least I can tell the Lord that I did it, or He knows that I did it. Okay. Um, this is a little bit of a story about how I have been changed from inside out, or at least in the process of changing from inside out. I suppose it's a never ending process. And how, where I was and where I am now. Um, I, well, I suppose I'll tell you where I am. I am a stay-at-home dad, father of three, and beautiful wife, and everything's pretty good. Um, but I didn't think that everything was pretty good because that wasn't exactly the plan I had for my life. I had a completely different plan. Not that I didn't want a wife and kids, but I wanted to be master of my own destiny in a way. Well, I suppose that's kind of a natural thing for a man to want anyway, is to be a master of your own destiny. And if you are a stay-at-home parent, you're not particularly the master of your own destiny. Um, there are three masters of my own destiny, and they're all way smaller than me. But that's something that you have to contend with. But I wanted to be, I suppose, make a name for myself, and I had an idea of where I was going and the kind of life that I wanted. And I was kind of chugging along that path until the 2009 or 2009 crashes or 2008 crash. And I lost my job at that point, and I kind of, well, continued on trying and trying to become, master of my own destiny. And I tried one thing after another. When the employment thing didn't work out, I tried another thing, another scheme, or not scheme, another business idea, another business idea, and every domino that I tried to push up was just falling back down, as quick as it went up. Um, and it was very frustrating. And during this time, I was still going on with, normal life. I got married, had children. Ended up, because I wasn't, full time employed, I pretty much stayed at home and minded the kids. And my wife went off work, and God bless her. Um, but this was kind of, in my estimation, this was a stumbling block. This was like, this is not where I wanted it to go. Um, I didn't picture myself as a stay-at-home father. I didn't. I pictured myself out, in the world, being, mastering whatever project that I was ongoing with, or I think I had a view of myself that was my God. I had this me at the top of the hierarchy of my life, and me upon that hierarchy was the God that I was aiming for, and not realizing this at the time, but striving towards that, future version of yourself type of thing, and that becoming your God in a way. And that's a big mistake I've learned. Okay, so things went on, and I kept starting projects, and projects kept failing, and um, I got to a point about a year ago, and it was kind of like a bit of a breakdown point where the idea was still there that I wanted to be master of my own destiny, and life seemed to be conspiring against that, and I didn't like that. I wanted to achieve this, deified version of myself, and I wasn't getting there. And all the time I thought I was doing the right thing. You know, there's a there is a character, not a character. There is an accepted version of a man that is a provider and a master in a realm, a kind of the provider of a family. That's the head of the household, the provider. That's the picture of a man. That's the picture of that I had of what I would and should be. And I wasn't getting there. And that was, the realization of that was it was a mortal wound to the deified version of myself that I had. And I pictured myself finally never getting to the point that I thought I would go to. And that was kind of almost like grieving, or it was like a death of a part of myself, and I was grieving it. And I remember in my kitchen, I was standing in my kitchen, and I was doing something. I don't know what I was doing, like cooking or cleaning or something. And I remember standing there, and I remember there was tears in my eyes, and I was praying, and I was crying, and I was saying, because well, my prayer was for God's will to be done in my life. But the idea that I had for God's will in my life was my idea for my will in my life. So I basically wanted God to adapt my idea for my life as his idea for my life. Oh boy, that's not the way to go. And so I was in my kitchen and I was praying. It may have been, I don't know, it may have been the most sincere prayer that I've ever prayed. Or maybe it was the first prayer, actual prayer that I had ever prayed. Sincerely, from the heart. And I heard in my ear, as I was praying, God, please let your will be done in my life. All the while having the idea that this honorable man idea, or this provider man, was the will of God, you know. And I was standing there and I was praying, God, let your will be done in my life. And I heard in my ear or in my mind, do you think it's not? And it was a kind of it was a kind of like, what was it? God, what's the word I'm looking for? It was clear, and it was, I don't know the word to describe it. It didn't just speak to my brain, it spoke to my heart. And it was a knockdown. What it was. It wasn't a, consoling, or it wasn't a, pat on the back like you might expect from a prayer, but it was a definite knockdown. It was an admonition, and it was those couple of words. Do you think it's not? And with those words, I knew that, well, God's in control and you're not in control, or I'm not in control. And it was time to just cop on, be an idiot, don't be an idiot, and stop deifying yourself and your own idea of yourself. And it took me a while, like I'll never forget that, but that was uncomfortable and it took a while to kind of process that, what it meant. Because what it meant was you have to give your life over to God. You have to stop trying to control it. Because me trying to control my life and to drive my life was actually the cause of a lot of friction, a lot of I was pushing against things that I'm a lowly man. I was pushing against things that I shouldn't be pushing against, and I was inviting uh, conflict into my life that ought not be there. And God knows what you're inviting into your life if you push against God's plan. So anyway, things went on. And when I heard that, by the way, I was in tears, laughing at myself. And it was a relief. It was like a big gushing relief. So life went on. And by this time, we had our third child, and it was real struggle to kind of keep balance or to keep, you know, keep a hold of things. Really, I was kind of hitting the point of, uh, let's say, exhaustion from lack of sleep, and of course, there was this thing that fighting against myself and unwillingness still probably to let go of that idea of myself, even though I knew it was a stupid thing in the first place. But um, we went on holidays then at the end of that summer last year, and it was real. Like I hadn't slept in, day after day after day because there was just babies. Babies don't sleep, especially when you bring them to strange places. So I hadn't slept for a few days, and I was just at my wit's end. And I was lying in bed again, and I was in tears, and I couldn't understand how I couldn't get a grip of myself and my life, and why it was such a way, why it was that way. Things were that way. Even like knowing what had happened earlier on, do you think it's not? So I was lying in bed there, and it was pitch black. It was probably 3 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up from a half sleep, and I was laying on my bed, and I couldn't move a muscle, and I was talking in my mind to myself, and I was in a bit of a state, and I was praying in a way. I was talking to God, and I was angry with God for my life not going the way I wanted it to go. And I knew that there was something at me. There was like this destabilizing force or a demonic force at me, pushing me, trying to break me, trying to push me over the edge, and trying quite hard. And I knew this. Um, but I lay there and I couldn't move. It was one of those, half sleep, half awake moments of, you're kind of like half paralysis. And in my mind, I was awake. My body was half asleep or paralyzed or something. And I said, I know what they want. I know they just want me to kill myself. In my mind, I said this, knowing that this force wanted me to do something to kill myself. And I heard in my mind, yes, go do it. Words to that effect. So whatever it was in agreement with that point of view. And after that moment, I felt this wash of peace over me. And again, that was another point of realization that sometimes you're not fighting with yourself. Sometimes you're fighting with something else. Or something else is fighting you and you don't know it. And there is only one way that is possible for you to overcome that, and that is through Jesus. You have to say, all right, Jesus, I give it over to you. And from that point, I have come to the realization that it's time to give your life over to Jesus. There's no other way. The only other option is that you create a God out of yourself, or your idea for yourself, this hierarchy and you on top. You create a God out of yourself and you worship that God, or you become your own God. Idle, thou shalt not have gods before me, any other God before me. By the way, first commandment. Or the depression and anxiety and conflict that this worldly force, this prince of the world, will just invite you towards self-destruction. So in my mind, that's what they're trying to get you to do. They're trying to get you to become your own God, or these demonic forces. They're trying to get you to become your own God or slip into self-destruction. That's the power of the world. And through Jesus, you can overcome that. Or he can overcome that for you, because you're not going to do it yourself. Don't lean on your own understanding of things. Give it over to God. And I'm not saying that I have reached some sort of, pinnacle of understanding of life or anything of the sort, but I can tell you that the evil or demonic influence that was trying to push me is gone. It has no power over me anymore. Thanks to Jesus Christ. And I can finally become at peace with my life. And it does not bother me at all anymore that I won't be, one of the princes of the world. I will not rise to the hierarchy, through the hierarchy of this world. I won't be that. And I don't want to be that. So, I think that's it. Give it over to Jesus. All your strife, your worry, your perceived failures, just give it over to Jesus. Get to know him. Start reading your Bible. He's there from the beginning. and just give it over to Jesus. That's it. Maybe that's all I'm supposed to say. Okay, thanks for listening. God bless. Bye bye.